Hi, Amare Salutem here. We create videos to help support your wellness journey. Procrastination is a behavior that most of us have taken a part of at some time or another. In today's video, we're going to answer the question, why do you keep procrastinating? Let's take a step back and first define what procrastination is. According to Pierce Steele, procrastination is to voluntarily delay an intended course of action despite expecting to be worse off for that delay. In other words, you know that you need to work on something, whether it's a report for work or maybe it's a paper or study, and if you don't work on that thing sooner rather than later, there might be some consequences. You'll notice, though, in this definition, there's nothing about time management. And what we know about procrastination is it's more of a behavioral issue than a time management issue. Yes, there is some time management components. Some people need to learn more organizational skills and things like that that can help with the procrastination. But overall, most people know how to make some sort of schedule. It's just more so sticking to it that gets in the way and causes the procrastination to occur. Most of the research done on procrastination has been in a college setting or in a work setting. What has been found, though, is that most people who procrastinated a lot in college are more likely to procrastinate in their careers. So this shouldn't be any surprise. There's usually some spillover into other areas of people's lives, but it's just been easier to research in those two settings. You may have came across maybe a quiz online that says, take this quiz and find out what type of procrastinator you are. A lot of them are not necessarily correct, but there is some truth to them. So for example, some people might be labeled a perfectionist procrastinator. So they're so worried about getting everything done in a certain way that kind of paralyzes them from being able to move forward and work on their project. Or there's the imposter procrastinator. So the imposter has other fears of maybe being found out, that maybe they're not good enough. So instead, they use procrastination as an excuse. So for example, if an imposter procrastinator waits to the last minute, then they can use the excuse, well, I didn't study, I didn't get a good grade because I waited till the last minute. It's not because I don't have the skills. I don't agree with that thought process, that a person's grades equal their intelligence or their skill set. That's a whole other discussion. And another common one I've seen on these quizzes is the overwhelmed procrastinator. And this is why a lot of people procrastinate, because they are feeling overwhelmed. So again, kind of like the perfectionist, but they really don't know where to begin because they're so overwhelmed by the details, and that can be a lot to digest. I actually have a video that helps specifically with that type of situation. So if someone's feeling very overwhelmed, breaking things into smaller parts. So you can check out my video, and that will help give you a very easy strategy to overcome that feeling of overwhelm. Different researchers have their different ideas, or they've looked into specific reasons why people procrastinate. What is generally acceptable by most researchers in this topic, though, is that procrastination is a failure to self-regulate. Self-regulation occurs in our prefrontal cortex. Essentially, what self-regulation is our ability to do things that are in line with our major goals and things we want out of life. I also like to look at self-regulation as being able to manage emotions and also manage impulses. If we all just acted on our impulses, then that would usually be a problem. So self-regulation helps make sure that we take a step back and are able to act in a way that is more appropriate for the situation. However, what happens is there's a lot of reasons why we might not be able to self-regulate. I think that's a topic I could talk about in a whole other video, so let me know in the comments if you're interested in learning more about self-regulation and how stress can really interfere with that. Let's get back on track now. So as we just said, a failure to self-regulate is one of the major reasons why we procrastinate. I like to explain procrastination and the reason for that by looking at Freud's pain-pleasure principle. And I know that a lot of what Freud came up with is obsolete, but I think that this can go in line really well with the idea of failure to self-regulate. Let me use an example. I think I can explain it a lot better in that way. So let's say that, and I'm going to use an example of a student in college. You can use whatever scenario that works best for you. But let's say that a professor assigned a 10-page paper to their class. Let's look at one student at one end of the spectrum, and I think a lot of students are there where they really don't like writing and they'd rather do anything else but write. They might have had some negative experiences attached to writing. So for example, maybe when they were in high school, they failed a writing project. Maybe it's just something they find boring, they just don't like to do. So whatever associations they have attached to writing, that student is going to attach a lot of pain to writing because of those associations. And they're going to want to avoid that pain by doing something more temporarily pleasurable. Let's say that's watching Netflix or going on social media. That student then is going to continue procrastinating and doing that more pleasurable thing. They're not going to start working on the assignment until the pain of not turning the paper in, maybe for fear of a bad grade, overcomes the pleasure of watching Netflix. So let's look at another student on the other end of the spectrum, and they love writing. It's their favorite thing to do. That's their hobby. Maybe they have a blog, and they get that assignment and they're going to start working on it right away. They're going to attach a lot of pleasure to writing because of maybe some of their past experiences. And this is overall a very simplistic example, but I want to stop and let's reflect here. What do you see the difference is between these two students? The one that doesn't like writing, the one that does like writing. What's the main difference? So take a moment, think about that, maybe even pause this and write in the comments below what you think that is. How I interpret this example is the main difference is how these students perceive the task of writing the paper. So the paper in itself, that doesn't have any feelings, right? But these two students, they have very different feelings and emotions attached to this writing assignment. In this situation, of course, it's very difficult to control our emotions and feelings, but what the students can do is gain that awareness of how they're feeling towards the writing assignment or whatever project or thing you're procrastinating on. Take a step back and think, okay, I'm procrastinating right now. What is a different way I can look at this situation that might be more beneficial for me? Something you enjoy out of the project, maybe it's kind of a means to an end. You don't like the class, but your goal is to get an A in it, or whatever that is for you. All we can really change in certain situations is our perception. And I believe that that is why people keep procrastinating, is because they are using their preconceived associations with certain tasks and they're acting on that. So their behavior is reflected in their emotions. And that cycle keeps going on and on and on because they might not take that step back and gain that awareness. I think with changing any sort of habit, self-awareness is so important. That's all I have for today. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up and comment below if you'd like me to provide more videos on the topic of procrastination. It's something that I'm very passionate about. It's something that I've read a lot about. I'd be happy to continue this discussion if it's something you're interested in. Hope you have a great rest of your day, and there will be more videos to come. Take care. Bye.